What's going on, comic fam? It's your boy, the Bearded Comic Bro, and today we are talking about my favorite villain of all time. And if you couldn't tell by the shrine, yeah, we're talking about the Riddler. We'll be looking at what are some of his best portrayals of the Riddler in TV and in movies, as well as what are some of my favorite comic stories or arcs that the Riddler is in, and I'd recommend you check out. With that being said, let's talk comics.
I can feel your anger. It gives you focus.
The Riddler first appeared in Detective Comics issue number 140. This was created by Bill Finger and Dick Sprang. And what's really cool is this is back in 1948. So the Riddler has been with us for a long time. One of the earliest Batman villains for sure. And what I really like about the Riddler is just you can take it in so many different directions. But the Riddler is one of those characters where if it's written well, it really works. So before we hop into the comics, let's talk about what are some of my favorite TV and movie portrayals of the Riddler. Gang, if we're going to talk about my favorite Riddler of all time, we're going to take you back to 1966. That's right, we're talking the Batman TV show starring Adam West, Burt Ward as the dynamic duo. But good golly, Frank Gorshin's portrayal of the Riddler is iconic for me. It will not be beat. I love a lot of other portrayals of the Riddler, but Frank Gorshin is the Riddler through and through for me. And you see that in the show, like that he was the best villain in that show. They utilized him. ABC used Frank Gorshin's Riddler more than any other villain in the first season. He was nominated for an Emmy for his portrayal of the Riddler. Sadly, when season 2 was rolling around, there were some contract disputes. Frank Gorshin wanted a little bit more money because he knew he was bringing it as the Riddler and with the Emmy nomination. But ABC was already doing budget cuts and they just couldn't meet that demand. And so they decided that they were going to start to make the Riddler a different character, kind of the similar aspects, and they called the Puzzler, and that didn't really work. So they finally brought in John Astin, who's best known for his portrayal in the Addams Family. And this is actually where you actually see the first appearance of the Riddler's cane is in those episodes with John. By the time season 3 came around, Batman the show was already on kind of the decline, on the way out. Luckily, we got another appearance of the Riddler by Frank Gorshin in this series in season 3. That's where you get that iconic Batman and Riddler in the boxing ring, which, I mean, come on. Season 3, we had Batman and Robin, Batman and the Riddler boxing. We had Batman and the Joker in a surf contest. I love it, but we can all see kind of why it was going downhill from there. Moving on from Batman 1966, we're going to Batman the Animated Series, which in my opinion, and a lot of other people's opinion, is one of the best animated series of all time. And John Glover's voicing of the Riddler is beautifully done. John Glover, who most of you know from Smallville as Lionel Luthor, he's also portrayed as the dad in the main villain in Shazam in the new movie. There are actually only 3 episodes in all of Batman the Animated Series that feature the Riddler. And I think this is shocking the most because the Riddler storylines are so well written. And they're some of my favorite, at least, episodes in Batman the Animated Series. Like, if you're so smart, why aren't you rich? That is such a beautiful storytelling of the origin of the Riddler. You've got Edward Nygma and kind of why he decides to go this route of being the Riddler. Right after that episode, like a couple episodes later, we had What is Reality, which is the one with where the Riddler has the virtual reality game set up with Robin and Batman, and Commissioner Gordon gets captured and Batman has to go into this virtual reality game and match wits with the Riddler to save Commissioner Gordon. And of course, you've got in season 3, I believe, of Batman the Animated Series, the Riddler's Reform, which is a great one of him trying to prove to everyone that he is no longer a villain, and he has starting with his own branding line and a toy company. And it's just a really cool storyline. And of course, we can't talk about favorite TV and movie portrayals of the Riddler without talking about Batman Forever, 1995. Goodness that it is. Some people didn't like Jim Carrey's portrayal, but I know I was one. It reminded me a lot of Frank Gorshin, his portrayal of the over-the-top, but not too much. I think it's a beautiful blend of what the Riddler should be and can be. So if you don't want to read and you want to check out what are some great ways to see some Riddler in TV or movies, definitely check out Batman Forever. Check out the 3 episodes on HBO Max of the Riddler. If you can find any of the 1966 episodes with Frank Gorshin's Riddler, you're going to just have fun with these. All right, gang, we've talked movies, we've talked TV. Now let's talk comics. This isn't a top 10 list or anything, but these are some that my favorite comics that I would recommend to people if they're like, what? I want to check out the Riddler. What do you recommend? Because it's such a wide variety. You get to see the Riddler in so many different forms. You're bound to find one that you go, okay, this is the Riddler that I really like. We already mentioned that Riddler's first appearance was in Detective Comics number 140, and that would be one of the first ones I would say, get a good base. It's a great introduction to who the Riddler was originally designed to be, and obviously he's transformed throughout the years, and as he should be. But I think there is something to be said about checking out that first issue of what the original intent for the Riddler was. Next, I would recommend Batman 171. That's right, this is the iconic cover of the Riddler. It is the Riddler's first appearance in Silver Age comics. This is a key that I know I'm still looking for, and I know a lot of people try to get because we ain't getting that first appearance of the Riddler. So the first Silver Age appearance is the one that a lot of people try to get. And this is just a really fun story. You get this storyline that is seen throughout the Riddler. You saw it in Batman 1966 show, where it's the Riddler makes it look like he's committing a crime, but he isn't, to make Batman and Robin look like fools. And so you saw that in the TV show. This is the same kind of story arc, but it just is fun, and it's something that I'm like, yeah, I'm here for this. Moving on to Detective 822. That's right, gang. We are going far away now of what the Riddler could be, and this was done by Paul Dini and Don Kramer. Paul Dini is one of the creators of the Batman animated series, so anytime Paul Dini steps into a book, you know I'm there for it. This is Enigma Consulting Detective, where they took a time in the Riddler's history where they're like, let's make him a detective, and he was a consulting detective for a couple issues in the Detective Comics series. And this is where Batman and the Riddler are teaming up to try to solve a case, and it actually works really well for me. I didn't think it would, but it shows how nicely the Riddler and Batman complement each other with their skills, and what makes the Riddler such a formidable foe with Batman. So definitely is one to check out. That's an intriguing idea for sure. So I also got to recommend one of my favorite Riddler stories. It's Batman and Robin's Adventures number 3. This is inspired by the TV series, so it's done in the same style. Paul Dini's back on this book. You've got art done by Ty Templeton, which I adore his art. And it just is a really cool story where Riddler is basically taking a social club hostage because he's like, look, it's got to be one of you guys. Batman's got to be rich or friends with someone who's rich. And he starts to pair up these father and son duos because he's like, he's got to be one of you guys. It's just such a cool storyline. I love it. I think everything about it's awesome. Definitely would recommend that for sure. Moving on, we got Batman issue number 92 from volume 3. This is kind of taking place during James Tynion's run with setting up for the Joker War. But man, this is a good standalone issue. My only knock on it is this should have been a story arc with the Riddler. It's such a good story, but man, oh man, that should have been a 2 or 3 issue arc at least. But with that being said, it's jam-packed with what I want from a Riddler book in this issue, which definitely check it out. This is the second full appearance of Punchline in that book, first cover appearance. So, but Punchline is not the main reason that this book is good. It is the Riddler through and through. And a couple story arcs that definitely would check out. Go, if you have not gotten a chance to read Tom King's War and Riddles, the war between Riddler and Joker. It's fantastic. This is also where we start to see Tom King's retelling of Kite Man's origins and things like that, which I think kind of led the door to open up the popularity of Kite Man. But that's for another episode, another time. So War and Riddles is a really good one because it pits Joker versus the Riddler, who are two villains that people see a lot of similarities with for sure. And I think Tom King just does a brilliant job here. So definitely is something to check out. The last story arc I recommend is 0 Year. Now, not the whole thing, because the whole thing really isn't Riddler. He's the main villain throughout it all, but I'd read issue 22, because I think 0 Year is like 21 through 32. Read issue 22, which is one of the first interactions in this storyline of Bruce Wayne and Edward Nygma, which is written beautifully by Scott Snyder, and the art by Greg Capullo on this works really well. Issues 30 through 32 pick up where we see Gotham's kind of in the state of decay. The Riddler has basically set it up that if people try to escape, they have to out-riddle the Riddler, and if they try their hand and they fail, they die. Just as a really cool arc of the Riddler. So you don't have to read all of 0 Year to pick up this arc. So definitely just, if you want, read issues 22 and then go 30 through 32, and you're going to get a good taste of what the Riddler can be. So those are some of the books that I would recommend. What are ones that I missed? What are some of your favorite Riddler stories? Who are your favorite? You know, we talked about the Riddler in movies. Did you like Jim Carrey? Did you not? What about Frank Gorshin? Let me know in the comments below. And let me know what Batman villain I should do a profile on next. Hopefully you're enjoying the content. So as always, hit that like button, leave some comments. Like I said, let me know what you think about what issues I missed, what villain should I do next from Batman's Rogue Gallery. Subscribe to the channel if you're liking what I'm putting out there. And as always, hopefully you can find some time to curl up, grab a book, and nerd out. Peace.